For the last time tonight, this is our grand finals here for July 29th, Dreamers Esports Daydream Tournament. Our players this time by, it's going to be Nefer from Team Phantom, Arthalex, Motorstormer, OLA.Nareba, OLA.FROUDO, Alnert from Team Phantom. We have Friday's champion, 0x Ma. And I think new to, at least for us being here streaming, but not new to the scene, Immafishy. Of course, there's 3 rounds of play here today. A couple people happen to get a buy of sorts. And what on earth is this? Do we already have affinity imprints being left on the field? That seems extremely fast to have a wildfire affinity here. That could be, of course, a perk of this region, Abyssal Basin, where the arena itself, like, you're not going to notice. This looks like the default place that they're playing in. But the little effects that happen during the game could change. So we see above that a Tipo already having that wildfire. We actually a very, very close battle here for a very first round. A Tipo, shield and heals, keeping them alive. Finally going to be able to hang on tight and gets the victory here. So remember how I was talking in the semifinals, so the wildfire imprint, the fact that you have that, I feel like it almost kind of forces your hand into what kind of synergy you have to play with, because you find yourself one more wildfire and then you unlock that ability where every time a wildfire uses their ability, they burn their closest opponent and deals damage and heals. So that kind of is going to want to get you to push towards maybe a fire and grass kind of composition. We'll have to see if they take the baits here. Meanwhile, this Lynx is an absolute menace. It already has the attack speed buff plus the Templar buff, so this thing is going to do a ton of damage if it gets left alone. That Groko does manage to get that stun onto 3. You also have the Valente in the bottom right-hand corner onto the back line, allowing for that Lynx and Tipo and the Ranger itself deal a ton of damage. A Lynx that powerful this early is definitely not natural. 3,000 damage already on the 4th round is pretty ridiculous. I'm sure Ma is happy with that one. Motorstormer kind of put in the same position that they were in the last tournament, where they were pretty much on top during the 1st round and then the semifinal. But then maybe got beat up a little bit early in the grand final. I know it's still very, very early to make that comment, but last time they did this, they got 2nd, so maybe they'll be up there in the running. Maybe it's a sign, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Based off my anxiety, I can probably guarantee you that I'm overthinking it, but it is what it is. It's what I do best. Nareba versus Arthalex here in this next one. Archos already in play right next to that big old Earth Groko. And the Dark Hollow Kuka, the little ostrich looking thing on the right hand side, going to be an absolute menace too, but you still got to watch out for this Lynx, which has steam compared to the wildfire we saw earlier, so that is going to be getting their ability rather quickly, but they get taken out rather quickly. So it's up towards the Fleesh and the Ranger to try and deal the damage, and you know how much faith I have in Fleeches. It is down. Nareba gonna end up falling in this one. 88's now in the tank. There's that Lynx once again if we're following this match. Ma versus Nareba. So rather than the attack speed that we saw before, they did opt to go for steam, where every couple of seconds it does get, I believe it's some energy and damage amplification at the steam imprint as well. There it is, actually. So energy per second and permanent damage amp. So the longer it goes, the better. But if you get focused down, you are cooked. But let's see, Ma does have the cling that immediately gotten taken out. Fleece on the right-hand side, gonna try and take care of the Rye, but it does literally nothing in terms of damage. This Lynx is just way too damn powerful. Everything it touches just gets chopped in half, it seems like. My goodness. Would be pretty crazy if Ma could find themselves a back-to-back victory. Let's hope I don't commentator's curse this, but it'd be pretty interesting if you just start streaming and start casting matches, if that's something that happens immediately. Alright, AFK check here. Ma's still the only one without taking any damage at this point. Arthalex and Nefer round up the top three. Immafishy and Alnert holding the middle. Then OLA.Nareba, OLA.FROUDO, and Motorstormer rounding up the field. Okay, that's actually ridiculous here. So, Shock isn't supposed to be an affinity that you can get until tier 5 start coming into play, normally. That's where if you get 2 of them, lightning starts striking random targets or low health targets. This is not even round 10, and we already have Shock in play. One, due to the Ranger system, but just with the way that Abyssal Basin, I think, is playing, making things absolutely crazy here for the players to have to deal with. So this must be new, and our players here in this tournament are really trying to do their best to adapt on the fly in this one. Nefer versus Nareba, and there is a nice little Dark Hollow lure. A beautiful catch there for Nefer. Again, Nefer versus Nareba. Is that Ace Dark Hollow as well? Damn, very nice, very nice. Fighters and Bulwarks on the right-hand side compared to the Rogues here in the green. Nefer dives on through. The only thing on the left-hand side now is just the Ace, who's going to come flying in here in just a second. Carpet bomb across the entire bottom half, but it's not doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. A good little distraction there from the lure to keep the Ace alive. It is extremely low and will end up falling, and that's the Valente coming in here with extremely low health. Going to end up getting the damage done to Nareba after that one. And this is interesting too, because normally you don't see Valentes used unless you absolutely have to. But it looks like here, Nefer's actually found themselves, yeah, sure enough, that was it, the Exalted. So finding the Stage 3 version of the Valente, and I mean, if you get the Stage 3 version, it still packs a decent punch, and you can ride that, ride with that Illuvium much longer than you normally would. Earth, Water, Fighter, and a Bulwark for Motorstormer compared to Immafishy. Oddly enough, not playing by their namesake, no waters in sight, just strictly Earth, Empaths, and Mystics, going for the tankier kind of play style. You do have the damage though with that Gorilla, which immediately goes after the Fleece, should be able to take care of it nice and quick. Does in fact do so. Ranger in the middle, gonna end up falling. Good shield coming up there from that Granatipo. Keeping everybody topped off. Apon gonna get the one stun there onto the Doka. The only damage left on this purple side is really that Doka. That Ranger will fall in a moment's time here. Stun not making things any easier either. Cartolo on the right-hand side here for Motorstormer is going to fall. Now they're just going to swarm on through. And now it's just left up to the Apon, who cannot deal that much damage. You might be able to slow the battle a little bit by stunning, but you cannot hold the line yourself. Will end up falling. Putting the Wildfire 2 onto that Greater Apon is actually kind of menacing. So not only do you stun off of that ability, but you set them on fire and start healing off it. That is crazy, as we now see Frodo versus Motorstormer, 78 and 69 respectively. The shiny, or the hollow links, it does have a little bit of assistance in terms of its ability power, its omega power rather. A couple of unbound rangers here too, so maybe not necessarily being used to its fullest fruition. Links up in the top right hand side, dives on through, should be able to take care of the monk here pretty quickly. All looking good so far here for the green side. Doka goes down. Frodo looking extremely good here, just a matter of dealing with the Cartolo, and very, very similar to the last round. That will be a wipe here for Motorstormer, taking some decent damage once again. Round 10, 63. It's not the worst situation I've ever seen anybody in, but that is a lot of damage still for early on here in this game. Saw Motorstormer a few times here, so let's take a run here with Alnert and Nefer. Nefer on the left-hand side here, Alnert on the right. What do they have? So, of course, the Exalted Valente, kind of an interesting pickup here. Got, of course, the Dark Hollowed Revo coming into play alongside the Ace. But on Alnert's side, what do you have? I mean, you do have the stage 2 of the Tiru. But I feel like that thing is basically the Fleesh of the Rogue category, so we'll have to see. Neither of these teams very overwhelming. We'll have to see who ends up taking this. The double dive buddy on the top going to immediately destroy this Ranger. Got the AC-130 coming on through, taking care of it as well. Carpet bomb the entire right side. This is looking much more one-sided than I was expecting it to be. Nefer cleaning this up quickly. Revo may roll out, it may be a Dark Hollow. The Hollows don't give you anything in terms of the competitive advantage. Not now, not this time, probably not ever. Nefer, gonna take that one. A solid job there for Nefer, just even hanging on again to this Valente. Saw in the damage charts on the left side and right side when the battles are happening. It's getting 3,000 damage per round here, or in that last round. So it's keeping up with Illuvials that are a higher tier than it. So very solid pickup and wise to hang on. Meanwhile, we ride along here through this NPC rounds with Arthalex, who is our leader in this as of the moment. Again, getting the shock affinity extremely quick into this game. And we do see on the left-hand side there, the Rylu, the orange fox looking thing. If they can level that up to the stage 3 and have 3 shock characters, 3 shock Illuvials, that would be absolutely devastating. It's devastating already as is, and really to round up that composition, I mean, I'm kind of biased, everyone, you know I like bulwarks, but you level up one more time and you get one more bulwark, and now you've got the reflective damage. That would be very, very nice if I do say so myself, as we are going to ride along here again with Arthalex going up against OLA's Frodo. Almost said Frodo, and I was like, no, it's not me playing my ranked games. No, that's Frodo, not Frodo. Meanwhile, the Rake getting picked up here by Frodo. Add another rogue to the squad, I suppose. Loaded up on items as well. Does have the red item above its name there. I'm not going to be able to get the name of the item as of this moment, but if I recall correctly, that is damage amplification and omnivamp. So as it's dealing damage, it will be healing. Some serious damage being done to the southern side of the arena. Just 4 left to go. These shocks, though, are being kind of problematic here for the red side as well. And it looks like they should, in theory, be able to clean this up, but at the same time, they're not really being able to take care of this Wraith. These last two, or the one Illuvium and the Ranger, are extremely difficult to take down. The blinds all over the place are making it so difficult, and to be honest, it's a lot of low health bars here. There's an opportunity here for the Wraith to be able to pull through. It has to go through the overtime damage, though, and the Archos heal. Can it happen? No, it is barely. That was way closer than it should have been. Holy smokes. Holy. A little rake that could. It almost had enough healing and enough omnivamp to fire their way through that. Just coming up short. Okay, with last week's champion, Ma, going to be playing the Nature and Verdant style, so a very, very tanky, healing-reliant strategy here for Ma. Once again, covered around the turtle-looking thing, the Archos, as well as the Twine, the grassy sloth-looking thing. Meanwhile, in the red, a little bit of a mixture of dive plus mage and magic power. They do have the Chikoro, I do believe, which is that fiery little bear we see on the left-hand side. Can be very elusive, but I find it a lot of times it has a hard time keeping up in terms of damage. But it's been able to tear through the front line right now. They might be sitting in the verdant puddle, but they're still able to do some decent damage and try to spread things out. That Archos is not in range to heal its allies, but the Ebb is there to make it rain heals on top of its partners. Gets one more off. The Tipo going to try and keep it and its Ranger partner alive, but the TNT is going to end up getting focused, so no more magic damage from the side. It is just a matter of dealing with the Chikoro. The bear does eventually fall. A little bit messy here for Mug. Kind of got displaced, but they were able to capitalize nonetheless. Speaking of displacements, Motorstormer is going to end up picking up the Winks this time. Same thing with Alnert, it looks like. Meanwhile, Frodo picks up the Penguin for a little bit more consistent damage. Nefer are going to pick up the Mammoth for a little bit of displacement and tank. And then Ma and Arthalex going to pick up the Archies for some more help towards their big beefy healers. Of course, this one is the grand final. This is it. Win this lobby, win the tournament. Win this lobby, win the tournament. Win the turnip. What the? Hollow Verminio about to dive on through, but now this is going to get nasty. Frodo looking to make these rogues work strong up against the green side here. Not very many tanky bodies to have to deal with, because both of these players are relying on a mixture of rogues and a couple of scions. But Frodo more reliant on the rogues, as you see everybody diving on through. Dark Taste is immediately going to end up going full carpet bomb across the entirety of the red side. They're sitting on fire. They are going to be taking a bunch of damage over time for at least a little bit longer, but they do end up fighting through nonetheless. And because there's not very many tanky bodies, that leaves only one Valiant Valente to try and go up against 5. And I mean, it may be the little tier 0 that could. It might be leading the damage on the team, but it is not enough. Stabbin leading the charge on the other side. 7,000 damage compared to its next teammates. So that's the problem with the Slash-In or the Penguin Alluvial. If it gets left alone, It is nasty. It doesn't have burst damage, but by God, does every single swing hurt above average. Top of the board here too, yeah, we've got Ma versus Arthalex. The Nature Verdant style coming out once again, this time versus the Jack of all trades plus a shock here with the Bulwarks and Ampaths. So both of these teams don't want to move, they just want to sit around their Archos and heal as often as possible. Meanwhile, we see the Ranger on the green side diving on through, trying to take care of the Winks. Going to opt to get out of there, start going after some of the front line. The blinds coming out here from the Crunk is going to make things a little bit difficult here for that Ranger to get any closer. The Riley and the Railu in the middle. Finally going to deal with the Cardinal. That is going to be the first to fall. Red side going to end up losing 2, maybe losing a 3rd here. It looks like Ma's going to be able to pull through just by numbers. Some strong fighters, but especially having all of those items over on the Fur Knights. That bird on the left-hand side, it may be an empath, it may be considered a support, but that thing does damage like a traditional DPS damage style character, especially with the Templar buffs that they do have. So definitely going to be a team composition, a player here to look out for as we go into our next DPS check. Gather up some items as per usual. Nobody's at death's door just yet. However, Motorstormer definitely getting close. They probably are only 2 losses away from getting eliminated here. Can't be hanging on to the gold for the credits for much longer. And of course, Ma leading the charge up against Nefer in this one. Let's take a look and see what else we got going around here. Arthalex versus Alnert. Possibly put Alnert into the danger zone if they do end up falling here. Arthalex, of course, like last time, still going to be running that Jack of all trades with a shock. Has style 6 bulwarks, actually, so really all landing on the tank side of things. I respect it, but even I don't normally go for 6 tanks. Granted, I'm also like below average in terms of my rating, so we'll see. Maybe I'm going to learn something here today. Of course, Alnert does have the damage, though, compared to the other side. Going to be diving right on through, completely surrounding the Archos. But the Archos pops the heal right in time to save the T-Lu for at least a little bit longer. But not long enough. The Arcta's going to fly on through, Carpet Bomb up the top, and take care of the Archos. The big healer is gone. And slowly but surely, the green side shall melt away. They absolutely crush it and melt on through. Vermilio hanging on by a thread. And of course, it may dive in like an assassin, but it's meant to be a tankier character. That little anteater looking thing. But they did actually put damage items on it. So it does pack quite the punch. With us now getting into the danger zone. OLA.FROUDO versus Motorstormer. Motorstormer, if they lose this one, they will be out of the tournament, finishing in 8th place. Relying pretty heavily, of course, on these Scions. Got a couple of bulwarks, a couple of fighters. So a lot of damage, but very little support for the damage. They got a front line, they have the damage, the back line, but next to nothing, if anything at all, in regards to shields. And they're going up against rogues who want to take care of them extremely quickly. Arcta's getting a lot of damage done to it. It's going to be forced to run away. That Carpet Bomb not really getting any sort of value. That spin coming out here from the Seer, helping do a ton of damage, but it's not going to be enough to the point where the game just says no. This one's over. Hopping on over to Ma versus Alnert. Alnert should be falling here. They've managed to break into that corner, but I don't think it is going to be able to go much further than that. making it rain heals. You've got the Verdant backup for healing as well. They will end up falling. So Motorstormer, our first elimination here in this tournament, finishing in 8th place, a very, very valiant run. Still in the prizing, so congratulations nonetheless. Was able to fight back on Friday, but wasn't able to repeat that this time by. But that's a-okay. I know Abyssal Basin, this region, seems to be throwing a lot of people for a loop. Going into this next one, left side, we got Water, Steam, Toxic kind of style coming out here from NFTs up against Alnert once again. They've got the damage. They have the Winks this time for a little bit of extra disruption, opting to take one of their Scions away to get that benefit. The stage 3 Lynx is here as well. Now this is the kind of Lynx though that I'm not necessarily a fan of though, because the only way that it gets any value is by healing missing health damage. So to lower your health, the more it heals, but even then it feels like it doesn't do anything. But it's relying heavily on the damage from this Ripe Lance. This Scorpion is going absolutely bonkers. 3-on-1, Kenneth pulling off. AC 130 diving on through, stabbed in the heart. Can it get through the Ranger? It absolutely will be able to. Ripe Lance, this Toxic Berserker coming in clutch. I love this little Scorpion as long as it actually finds its way to its target. It can be an absolute menace. Of course, we're still gonna ride along here with Alnert sitting on death's door, 7 health in the tank, going up against this heavy, heavy rogue line. But I believe this is NFTs. And this is what I was talking about. The Verminio does have some extra tank, but it does have the items that allow for a little extra damage, a little extra tank, so it's gonna dive on through. Granted, there's not going to be anybody but that Winks, or the Quinks, to really need it there. The Kuka's perhaps going to try and join it and take it down. Meanwhile, the main battle over on the right-hand side getting a little bit nasty. The Inferno has been triggered, so there is lots of fire damage across the board just ticking away. As of right now, extremely even. Revo going to try and get out of the dodge, but this Arctis in the background is going to be stuck to try and go up against 4. They were not able to finish the kills. AC trying to dive on through. The Carpet Bomb does take out 2, but they're literally going to floss on them before finishing the job, it looks like. One more try here for Alnert to make that Carpet Bomb work, but it is going to be for naught. Alnert's going to be taken down once again. In a battle so close, even the game is nervous as we start spazzing out here in the carousel. But Alnert going to be eliminated here in 7th position. Next closest to elimination as of this moment goes to Nefer, who is able to get first pick since they're the lowest HP in the carousel. They find this... Why am I blanking on the name? I was gonna call it the Squeesh, but no, that's just a squid in a fleece. A Flare gonna end up getting picked up here by Mont as well, so that, even for a last pick, that's not too bad. We'll have to see how this goes. Of course, this is the drone augment system that I was talking about before, and we see with the composition right now that our leader is, or with what Nefer's running, heavily reliant on attack speed and Omnivamp as well. So when you fire off your ability that you do heal. Squeeze, that's what it was, not a squeesh. I mean, if it's not protected, it does become a squeesh, but that's not the name of the alluvial. Whoopsie. Just gonna beat on through this NPC round nice and fast. But a very, very close battle. I mean, cliche as ever, but it's anybody's game still at this point. Mod did have a very, very strong lead, but did get chipped it away pretty decently here. And is Nefer still running the Exalted Valente? Damn, okay. The little Valente that could, and it's Nareba versus Nefer. Fighters versus rogues and the Axodon. That's the one I was talking about earlier, where you've got that big, oversized axolotl looking dude. Got the Ripe Lance as well. So majority of the time, rogues do not like jumping into this, because usually a one-on-one rogue versus fighter goes into the favor of the fighter. But if you can swarm one of them, it could be a different story. If the ramp fight can manage to get a good ult on the left-hand side, it could change everything. Up to the skies it goes alongside the Monarch, get out of some major damage up on the left-hand side. It does take a few down, but it's still a rather decent trade, 1-for-1 here. The Ripe Lance has been doing a fantastic job staying just out of range, but it still does end up falling. The Ripe Lance on the Monarch going to try and deal with it, but based off of what I just saw right there, I think Nefer has been eliminated. And sure enough, that is going to be the case. Arthalex is the next one on death's door now. I guess if there is one thing that I do wish then for this next spectator update is that it does allow us to actually see the killing blow for players that are eliminated. But again, that's not meant to be a dig. This thing is great for only being out for a week, so I'll still give credit there. Octius over on the right-hand side. This thing is sandwiched. It is not going anywhere, and there are a ton of things I would love nothing more than to dive on top of it. You've got the Ripe Lance, you've got the Joggle, the Rake, the Polar Bear, the Cardalox is going to try and hold on through, and then Hydrolinx is going to try and keep them topped off that entire time. That big old beefy thing in the middle, though, that Gnarl, is going to be very, very strong at trying to hold the line. Can they get some down? That's one falling on each side. Cardalox trying to keep that Crunk in position as well. They've nearly broken a hole. If they can get rid of this Gnarl, they do. They are on the back line. The Ripe Lance is on the back line. Can it get a stab onto the Octius? It will. Is it enough time, though? It's trying to get through the Archos. It does. We'll have a one more shot here onto the healer. It is going to be able to do so. And that's another elimination here. Arthalex is barely going to fall. As we go into our next round momentarily, though. OLA leading the lobby now 1-2. Would be pretty crazy if they could finish in this regard, especially since last week I had made the comments that it sucks that 3 of OLA's members got into the grand finals. I don't think any of them made it higher than 3rd or something like that. So they were definitely looking to prove me wrong here today. As we do have on the red side, very, very tanky squad. 8 Earth, 4 Granite. That is absolutely crazy. That front line is just not going to be taking any damage. They actually made the Chikoro a Granite as well, so we could dive on in and not take any damage. Is that going to be enough to tear through this heavy, heavy sustain? As of right now, it looks good. That Exalted Grilla is onto the Archos, does tear through it. It's a Wildfire on top of that as well. Keeping it topped off for at least a little bit longer. It's finally going to fall. But there are still a lot of tanky members here on this red side. The Sepphoris here, this snail-looking thing to your right, just peppering damage pretty much untouched. The tank, the Goliath, alongside the Ranger, doing a great job of just holding a line down towards the south side, but the overtime damage is coming on through. Can the Sepphoris land and stay alive through this? I think it does. Immafishy going to hang on for their life, as Ma actually ends up falling here. So your champion from last week is going to fall in 4th place. Still a fantastic and respectable finish nonetheless, so congrats about that. But now here we are. It looks like Immafishy and Frodo battle it out. Rogues versus Rogues and Mystics. And then the other player is going to end up playing up against a Ghost. This could very well be the final round if things roll a certain way. Let's see, all in on rogues or have a little bit of extra backline firepower. We'll see which one they prefer. The Sepphoris over in the top there is going to be completely untouched, able to fire at will. But here comes the ramp fire, going to end up taking care of one, chops down a second as well. And now, as the entire front line falls here, Immafishy's Sepphoris is left exposed as the rest of the green members start to come on down, chop it up, and Immafishy is going to end up falling here in third place. It is an OLA 1-2 finish no matter what here, with Frodo leading over Nareba. Little bit of a breather in the action. Nareba literally 1 HP and a dream to try and make this comeback work. We see this is of course the virtuous Hydrolinks that I was talking about. We don't get to see it too often because personally I feel like it's a little bit underwhelming for a tier 3. The fact that its healing is only based off of 2% of your missing health, it does not really get the job done. Granted, it pops its ability very quickly, so it's always up. It's an interesting tactic. So we'll have to see what happens here. Possibly the final round of the tournament. OLA's Frodo versus Nareba. We'll have Frodo in the green, Nareba in the red. Heavy rogues here once again from Frodo. Meanwhile, Nareba, water, steam, toxic. Strictly trying the fist fight, it looks like 6 fighters. But again, this team composition coming out here from Frodo is basically the exact answer for a fist fight composition. The dust, the air, you have blinds, you have dodge. Those are all things that fighters do not want to see. But Nareba is going to all in. 7 fighters on the field, especially that right lance, who's sitting directly into the ramp fight's fury. Knocked down the half. It's immediately going to be taken off the board. The carry is gone. The entire team is gone. OLA Frodo, congratulations on your Daydream tournament victory here for Illuvium Arena. Blink and you miss it. The rogue team coming in clutch, making me eat my words in regards to the fact that rogue teams could get top 4 and nothing else.